Karim Halabi, what's up, man?
Oh, good. It's good to be here.
1 Billion Summit was a massive success, I would say.
Yeah.
And you specifically, Mr. Brand Partnerships at Alfan, had a big hand in facilitating, connecting brands to creators, which is a massive thing. Did you always know you would want to be in this space, or was it kind of a thing you stumbled onto? Or
No, it was a mistake. I don't want to call it a mistake, but so what happened was I went to London to do my master's in 2019. I did my master's in digital marketing. It was COVID at the time, so it was a year. It was half a year of studying and then half a year at home and then lockdown, and it was a bit of a mess. I had my thesis that I did in summer during lockdown, and I spent it in London. Like, I didn't come back to Dubai.
yeah,
Came back to Dubai. You know, the job market was really tough at the time. And I initially interviewed with a company that is invested in Alfan. And from the interview, they told me, listen, we just invested in this startup called Alfan, and we think you'd be a great fit. How about we put you in touch with them? And I was going towards a traditional legacy media, which was, you know, the media buying
yep.
and stuff like that. But then they put me in touch with Alfan, which was all about creators. And I met with Fattal, our CEO, and Jamil, who was my manager at the time. And yeah, we clicked from day one and haven't looked back. It's been 4 years. 4 years have felt like 4 months, to be honest. You know, like they just flew by.
You're always nonstop, man. Every time I see you, it's just like either on the phone, sending an email, sending a voice note, or a text. I mean, what do you think it takes to do well at your job, or someone who's in this space?
Approach each day like something new is going to happen. Like, you have a new challenge. The nice thing in our space is every day you have a new challenge. You have a new problem to solve. You have a new creator to get a deal for. You have a new brand that wants creators. So, and each brand has their own problems or their own goals that they want to achieve.
Yeah.
So I have to take each problem in isolation and try to fit creators to solve these problems. At the end of the day, that's what we do at Alfan. Or in my department at least, we match creators to brands so they can achieve their goals. So what I like about it most is each campaign I'm on is different. There aren't two similar campaigns. Each campaign is different. Each one has its different challenges, its different problems. And at the end of the day, as daunting as it seems at the beginning, and I've had many campaigns that I go like, how the hell am I going to get this done? Like, we end up making it happen. And 1 Billion Summit was the best example of that. 3 months ago, we were sitting, me and Mash, who, you know, who's our success manager at Alfan, and we were looking at 1 billion. We were like, how are we going to make this happen?
Yeah.
And then the day we arrived and we saw the booth getting built and the booth was done and we had our sessions lined up and everything, that was the first time in the 4 years, or the most time I felt that validation that I craved so much in the industry. You know what I mean? Yeah, and being on stage as well was something.
The first for you, right?
Yeah. It was. So the first session I had was in Arabic. I do speak Arabic. My first language is English, but obviously I speak Arabic fluently, but just not the business terms sometimes. So I was on stage and I tried to mix it up a bit. The second session, which was a moderation session, transitioning from short form to long form content, someone told me when I walked off stage, they said, you look like you've been doing this for like 20 years, because I was so comfortable after my first session.
That's actually impressive, Karim, because a lot of people have that stage fright, but you know your stuff cold. I mean, like, you're so good at it. It's second nature for you.
It was more of like, I felt like I was sitting with my friends on stage. Like, some people told me you look too relaxed, like Ijid for Ijid, and, you know, like sitting and you're laughing with the crowd and everything. And that's how it was. And I felt the session went great. There was a lot of engagement with the crowd. And when I walked off stage, people coming up to me and asking me questions. And like, for the first time, Alfan, we've worked so hard to put ourselves at a certain place in this industry. For the first time, I felt that recognition from people in the industry and outside the industry that want to learn about the creator economy, which was a really nice feeling. And like, the momentum after the summit was sky high. And like we went on to meet with all the clients that we met at our booth and everything. And we just can't wait to see what 2025 holds for us. Like it's very exciting. And I felt like the summit is something we needed as a company for everyone to feel that validation that we're here, we're big in the industry, and we're here to stay and grow and be part of that journey.
So it's an amazing jumpstart to the year. I think the timing of it is really cool. What would you say is the biggest misconception? Because there's always, perception versus reality. So from the outside, you imagine it to be one thing. Then once you're in it, it's different. What would you say is the biggest disconnect, especially for creators who consume or they observe other people? Like it looks like, oh, it would be cool if I got to do X, Y, Z. What would you say is the biggest disconnect between how it actually is versus what people imagine it to be?
So the thing is, in our region, and I could tell you from my friend group, simply, there is a perception of creators or influencers, what people like to call them. I like the word creators way more than influencers. I don't use the word influencers. I use the word creators. There's this perception that they're all shallow people that just post stupid content online, do dances on TikToks. فيها what's the word?
استخفاف.
Yeah, استخفاف in the industry and in the people that are in this industry. And that's something that I felt over the years. And funny enough, a friend of mine, after he saw me on stage, he was like, هلا بحترمك. I was like, did you see that? Yeah, I was like, شو فرقت عليك? He's like, because like they always had this perception about us, like, it's such a, مش a joke of an industry, but it's such a, رأس. This is what they call it, رأس on TikTok. This is what people think the industry is about. They don't realize that the effect and the impact that these people have on their daily lives as well. Like when you have people we had a combined following of 1 billion at the summit. 1 billion people follow the people that were speaking at that summit. So the impact is there. What we've been trying to do at Alfan is we've been trying to show everyone the impact of creators, the reach that you can have as big as countries. Like, you know what I mean? So we have a creator, Osama Marwa, who had his engagement recently, and he got 300 million views on his engagement video. That's 3 Egypts.
It's almost a whole United States.
Exactly. Like it's unbelievable the impact that we can have and that our creators can have on society. But yeah, like I felt like the summit and it being sponsored by the government and like all these big brands coming gave it that validation, at least in the Middle East. I know in the States and Europe, it's already been recognized, but like I felt like in our مجتمعاتنا العربية, like there was this استخفاف للinfluencers. There was this, this is not a career.
It's a fad. It's like, okay, people will get sick of it and move on to something else.
100%, what are you doing? This is not a career. Like, I've been fighting that for 4 years with a lot of members of family, friends, you know what I mean? And I'm happy that I stayed put because I did have opportunities to leave. I did have opportunities to go to that traditional legacy media or join an FMCG company as a brand manager. But I felt like, no, this industry is so raw. It's at the beginning and I can't leave now. I need to see where it's going to go. Like I'm too curious to see. And we're at Alfan, we're at the forefront of the industry right now. So we could be the next Shwedi group, the next Impact, the next, the next big media, the new media that we're in right now, which is creators. No, the brands are not. They're all shifting their budgets. Still, until today, influencer spend is I think around 6% of marketing budgets of brands, but every
increasing.
Every year we're seeing it increase, and I think in 4 or 5 years' time, you're talking about half of their budgets is going to be on influencers because that's the way to go. Like no one watches ads on TV anymore, or billboards are still really strong, but like online advertisements are the strongest via creators.
What excites you most about, like you mentioned, it's very much in its infancy. The curiosity that you have, where do you hope it goes versus where it might actually be going so far? Because it's such an evolving. I mean, every year, one of the questions I'd like to ask you is, Where was it when you first started versus where is it now? Because clearly it's shifted a bit. I mean, obviously, Corona enabled and empowered a bunch of people, not enabled, not the event itself, but a lot of people turned, to content creation, et cetera. So there have definitely been stages between when you joined and where it is now.
When I joined, I felt like it wasn't mature. The creators even weren't mature. So we had the big time creators that were working with the big brands, but they even acted like the traditional celebrity would act. So photo shoots, video shoots, your traditional old style media shoots. Now the element of creativity that some of the creators have and the daring experiences that they're doing to create their content, like a la Mr. Beast style, is something that we haven't seen in our region before. So it's that daring ability to create content that wasn't there 4 years ago. And another thing that's really interesting, a lot of creators are turning their content into their own business. So they're building their business through their platforms, which is really interesting. So they're investing in themselves. And this is something I tell creators a lot. Don't become a walking coupon. What do I mean by that? Don't become that creator that takes every brand deal. Invest in yourself, build a product yourself. You have the platform. So brands die for that. They die to have that 1 million, 2 million following. You have the platform, create the product, and you don't need any marketing. You already have these 2 million loyal followers. If 10% buy your products, you're set. You know what I mean? So I think that the business element has really evolved, where creators are treating their life or their content as a business right now. You know what I mean? And especially now in the UAE, you have to set up your VAT and as a creator, you are a business right now. So that's the biggest difference that I've seen. And obviously the market, the spend of brands has evolved immensely in the 4 years that I've been at Alfan.
What's the one thing you wish more creators knew about how to align to be more attractive to brands that are looking to spend money or promote something via their platform or what they're doing?
Don't advertise if you're not convinced of the product. I say this so many times. If you don't like the product, don't advertise for the money. The money will come. The money will come at some point. Is that, Anna, I give you the product. You're not convinced that your fans will benefit from this product, whether it's a tech product, a restaurant, anything. Don't do it. Don't do it. The most important thing as a creator is your authenticity. Your mistai is the most important thing. Once you lose that, your career is just going downhill. So this is the number one advice that I would give any creator that's starting, that's in the aiming to stay at a consistent level. And the creators that I've seen that have been most successful are the consistent creators, are the creators that have authentic content, and are the creators that don't accept every brand deal. They reject the ones that don't align with their content. It doesn't make sense for a tech creator to go and advertise a restaurant. You know what I mean? I don't care what you think about the restaurant. I care about what you think about this Huawei device or about this Apple iPhone. That's what I care about. You know what I mean? So the authenticity thing is really important, because nowadays I'm seeing a lot of creators advertising things that ma khassun fi, or ma khassa fiya. So yeah, that's important.
There seems to be a shift between the bigger budgets where, they would get people, let's just say massive influencers versus, do you feel like there's a direction towards targeting micro influencers and mid-level versus before? Like what's shifted and what's the economics behind that shift?
Yeah, so this is actually a really interesting point. So back in the day, I mean 4 years ago.
Yeah. But it's moving at the speed of light at this point.
There was a big brands. The first type of influencer they would look at is the macro creator. Is that guy that has 2, 3, 4 million followers? That was their first avenue of creator to look at. Because of ROI, because of association, we want to associate with this name. Now there's a huge shift to micro creators. Brands feel like getting the volume of creators. So if I have 30 creators, which I can pay $1,000 each to promote my product, or one creator, which I pay $30,000, they're seeing a lot more value in the 30 small creators. And us as Alfan, we see a value in that as well. And that's why on our platform right now, anyone can sign up and we have over 40,000 people on our platform. If you have 1,000 followers or 1 million followers, you have access to the same deal. So I've noticed a big shift. I support the shift. I think volume is better, definitely. And micro creators as well, they have that fire in them. They want to prove to the brand that they can create that cool piece of content. And in terms of creativity and quality of content, I'm seeing it from the smaller creators way more than the bigger creators, way more.
Is it a complacency, you think? Or
I think it's complacency. I think it's ego and complacency from the bigger ones. Some of them are still true to themselves and to their content, but the smaller creators know that they have to create something extra special, because I don't want to say they're behind in the pecking order, but like they do have to create something extra special to build that affinity, and trust with the brand. So yeah, there is a big shift to smaller creators. It's something that I'm seeing on a monthly basis. Like all brands are coming to me, big brands that used to speak to me about the big names, the big shoots, the $500,000 deals. Now they're coming to me with, listen, we want as many creators as possible, and we want to advertise at scale.
With it being kind of a catch-22, how do you solve for that? And I'll explain what I mean. You can't get a brand deal if you don't have a sizable audience, even though we are shifting towards more of the micro. And it's like brands won't touch you unless you've done something with brands. And then you can't get a brand unless you've done something with a brand. So how do you break out of that?
So this is why I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast with something which is, you have to focus on your own content at the beginning. Grow your following. When your following is at a respectable level, brands will come by themselves.
What would you consider that? And I want to tie that into what we said, where brands are more interested in smaller.
Yeah.
But can it be a detriment? Let's say you're a really good creator that has made the shift. Let's say, let's break down for the audience, those
definitely.
who might not know, what's considered micro versus macro versus. Can you just give me kind of a brief overview of what the size?
So when we say micro creators, we consider anyone between 1,000 followers to 20,000 followers. That's a micro creator. And again, there's a different definition for everyone, but in my books, that's a micro creator. Anywhere between 20 to, it's a big range here, but anywhere between 20 to 150, you're like macro level. 200 and above, I consider you macro. I consider you mega. Yeah. Again, most brands or most marketing or influencer agencies will tell you, no, mega's 1 million and above, macro is 200 to 500,000, and micro is 100 to 200. No, that's not how I do it. I do it on that scale. I did a recent campaign with over 30 creators that all had between 10K to 30K, which again, you can consider micro. And it was a really effective campaign in terms of ROI, because the following of these creators were really community-based. So it was a Dubai-based campaign. I knew these creators have that Dubai following, because sometimes I have a creator that has 1 million followers, gets good views, but his audience is spread out all over the world, Algeria, Morocco, Lebanon, Syria. And they're advertising a product that they want to sell in Dubai. The guy that has 10K and 15K will get you the purchasing power of the Dubai residents. The guy that has 1 million has his audience spread out everywhere and won't get you the same results. So
can you tailor for that? Like, obviously most brands want to go where the money is, which, whether we like it or not, is GCC, Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, probably a little bit in Egypt. They've got the big market, but purchasing power is a bit of a challenge, and other countries just don't have, Should you, as an influencer or creator, depending on how you want to look at it, if your aim is to, you're authentic to your voice, to your message, to the type of content you want to make, should you be catering for, can you be brand ready? Should you aim to be brand friendly, or you should do your thing, and if that eventually gets you towards brand territory?
It depends the direction you want to take. So I have creators that speak to me, and their goal is to be brand friendly, or their goal is to be a walking coupon, like I mentioned. And if that's what you want to do, you can do it. You can create content in a way that is very brand friendly, that adheres to the briefs that brands have. There's a very famous creator. His name is Fex. He's a UAE-based creator. Brands love working with him, and he's very effective. He's very effective at selling. But that's what he does. He sells. He's a UAE-based creators. All of the UAE follows him, especially the Emiratis. And he's effective and he's clear about what he wants to do. He wants to show everyone in the country what are the best deals to get. But that's his content. You can't have it both ways. If you want to be a creator that creates the cool content, you can't also always be brand friendly. You know, it doesn't work. There's a fine balance that you must have where every once in a while that brand deal will come where you'll create cool content for the brand, but the rest of your content has to be what your audience likes, what they followed you for in the first place when you were building yourself out. When you were building yourself and you had 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, you weren't brand friendly. You had really cool kick-ass content that people like to watch. So I think staying true to that is really important. But again, it's a path. You have to choose your path. You want to be the brand friendly path. You can from day one create content that's only suited to brands, or you can stay true to your content and then the brand deals will come flowing. I prefer method number 2.
Like, let's say we're doing well as a micro creator, but by sheer value that you're adding, you're now in a new bracket. Are brands less likely to look at you? And if now the shift is going to micro, is crossing that border a detriment to the potential?
The bigger ones?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's say brands are looking at creators from 10 to 30.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're in the 60 because you've been consistent and you've done well. Does that take you out of the running for?
Absolutely not. It just moves you to a different campaign objective. So there are campaign objectives that want to work with smaller creators at scale. If you move to the 60 to the 100, you're just moving into a different type of campaign. You know what I mean? That's focusing on something else, probably awareness. The bigger you get as a creator, the more brands want awareness more than conversion. You know what I mean? That's something that I've noticed. Obviously, some of the big creators still get crazy conversion. But again, it will just move you to another level of a campaign. That's it. Bilakis, we want creators to keep on growing and growing and get to the 500,000 and the 1 million followers as long as they stay true to themselves and to their content. That's the most important thing.
I feel like most creators don't know how to bridge the gap between, okay, we've built the audience, we have good engagement, but we don't know how to speak brand talk. I mean, Alfan is obviously very good at trying to bridge those gaps. But for creators that don't know where to start, is there you are here and this is your path to get to brands? Or are there brands looking for creators that might not know,
So something about that, something really cool that we're doing at Alfan coming soon is we're going to be involved with Creators HQ, which is an initiative started by the government here in Dubai, where we're going to be teaching creators and inviting brands over to give workshops on how to be brand friendly, on how to speak to brands. So it's something that I've been really pushing for because I do feel like we do have that lack of brand friendliness in the market as well. So it's something that we're pushing for. And as long as you're true to yourself and you believe in the product, naturally it'll come out. Again, brands aren't very strict in their briefs if they see someone that's convinced about their product.
Yeah.
When are they strict? When they hire a creator that isn't really understanding the product, they tell him, okay, say X, Y, Z in the video. And when he says X, Y, Z, it doesn't come out naturally. I'm just going to skip the video. And I also we've been talking about creators and their lack of maturity sometimes when doing these things. A lot of brands have a lack of maturity when it comes to creators and dealing with creators. Yeah. I've worked with a lot of brands that construct briefs that I know will not get them results because they're so corporate.
Is there a loss in translation? Like,
yeah,
brands don't know how to speak creative and creative don't know how to speak 100%.
Brand, and that's where we come in. We have to be the middleman between both and try to explain to brands that you need to speak the language that the audience will understand and that the creator has been speaking for years to the audience. The second you tell him to start doing X, Y, Z in a corporate way, his audience are going to lose interest or her audience are going to lose interest. So again, part of our day-to-day at Alfan is also educating brands on how to construct briefs. We're with them from A to Z in the ideation process, in the creation of the brief, and then obviously into the execution of the campaign. So it's really important that brands are aware of the content or the audience that they're advertising to. This is something that's so important and that's overlooked a bit in our region,
Are
unfortunately.
brands looking primarily, I mean, obviously there's numbers, there's other things, but what are the key metrics if we're going to geek out a bit in terms of, is it an engagement thing versus geography versus, recent uptick in followers? What are some of the big,
So traditionally in our region, usually geography is really important. Unfortunately, because of how our region is, purchasing power is really important as well. And the GCC has the highest purchasing power. So traditionally, brands would look at creators with Saudi, UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain audiences. That would be like their go-to at the beginning. Another thing that we've introduced to brands, and I feel is very effective, is a metric that we call CPV, which is cost per view. So we have some brands that are getting great value for their money, which is like 3 cents per view. The average, I think, is like a good creator would do around 15 cents per view. But I have some brands that are spending on creators that are 3-4 cents per view.
and how is that measured for those who might not know how that's calculated?
So you just take the number of views and you divide it by the cost of the creator. And then you get the percentage. You know what I mean? So like if the creator's charging $5,000 and he's getting 5,000 views, he's charging $1 for a view, and that's very high. So no brand will work with him. So yeah, cost per view is really important, and geography is really important. Trending creators are also something that they look at. Like if a creator recently got engaged, he's in the news right now. We want to jump on the opportunity, be the first brand to work with them, or if he's been on the uphill, in a trending way. That's another thing. But I would say mainly it's geography. Geography is so important, and CPV.
Are there cases where they bypass that and they look at, other factors?
Yeah, we've seen cases. So I have a lot of creators that don't have these geographies, but brands do love them because they do produce that real content. So again, you might have to work a bit extra harder than the creators that live in the popular geographies, but again, it's all in your hands. If you create that real brand-friendly content, brands will still work with you. I have a lot of creators that are earning lots of money with these geographies, and brands know of these geographies, but they love the content because they can, let's say they don't get the purchasing power from these audiences, but what they do get is the content which they can use on their own platforms and promote to the Saudi Arabias and UAEs and Omans of this world. So let's say Zan has a big audience in Lebanon and Syria. Okay, fine, but his audience aren't really gonna have the purchasing power to buy the product. I'll take Zan's content and promote it to my audience in Saudi and in UAE as a brand. So it's kind of usage rights. So there's always a way. There's always a way. So there's hope for everyone in any geography.
Do you feel like you understand creators? Is it harder to understand creators because you don't create, or do you feel you're like, no, I'm good where I am, I think I got a good grasp on it?
So I've historically been a private person. So I've never gotten into the content creation side of things. But a lot of people recently have been telling me, how are you in this industry and not out there or in the public? Because I do attend a lot of big creator events. I spend 90% of my day surrounded by creators and people creating content. Actually, funny enough, at the 1 Billion Summit, I finally made my profile public. So you guys can follow me, Karim Halabi.
We'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, I finally made my profile public. I want it to come naturally. It's not something that I have planned. Maybe a podcast, maybe something like that. But yeah, it's not something that I've thought about. I feel like I am comfortable in front of the camera. So yeah, it could be in the pipe soon. Yeah.
Do you think it should be a prerequisite for people that are, in this space?
I don't think it should be a prerequisite because, look, I'm exposed to all of these creator profiles anyway. So I see the ups and downs. I see how the traction comes and goes on their profiles. Like I'm very involved and hands-on with these creators. So I do kind of have a hands-on experience. Maybe when I do start creating content or I do become more public, I have a different perspective on things. like that's my answer right now. Like at the moment, I feel like I do have a good perspective on things, but it could change when I do become more public.
Yeah. In terms of trends, I mean, it's clear family leaning content has been doing well, may continue to do well. It might, sunset, and something else will take, we'll see the light of day. Are there categories that brands tend to gravitate more towards because of the sheer, purchasing power versus?
So generally, lifestyle, you could say lifestyle content is the most popular category of creator content. But then again, I prefer the content that's more specialized or niche. So if you're a creator that, for example, F&B is booming right now. Like creators that promote like foodies or creators that promote F&B brands, it's on an upward trend that I haven't seen before, to be honest. The amount of food-related creators that are coming out every day and gaining a big followership and really engaging content is unbelievable. So if you do like food, if you are a foodie, I really advise that you pick up the camera and start creating content, because brands and restaurants are really after that. And especially if you're authentic and you give your real opinion, sky's the limit for you as a food creator.
Does it always have to be positive though? Like, I mean, not to bash on this stuff. I mean, look, if you're a guy that, like, I'm the guy who trashes all the brands. Like, why would anyone? I mean, again, if you gain traction and it's like suddenly you're the authority on that, then of course they'll pay you.
Yeah.
But do you think it could hurt you if that's kind of your MO, where you're like, I'm saying it as it is, whether it suits, if it pleases again the brands or not?
You wouldn't be brand friendly, probably. Yeah, but you'd have great content. You know what I mean? So when it comes to food, at least in our region, food's great in Dubai.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of places you can say bad stuff about. You know what I mean?
When you say it's not great relative to all the competition that there is, but it itself on its own, it's already like, head and shoulders better than most of the stuff that you're having.
100%. So like I've seen there's a creator, his name is Just Food Dubai. I followed him when he had, so I'm a foodie myself. I love food. So I followed him when he had around 300-400 followers. Like, he was a small guy. He went to a restaurant that I saw and I followed him. He's at 100K right now, and most of the big food brands or F&B outlets in Dubai are jumping at the opportunity to work with him. And he's a great success story. I don't know him personally, by the way. I'm just he's a great success story here in the UAE.
Can you connect number of followers? If you're brand friendly, can we say if you're at the 80 to 150 and you got some brand deals, you should be averaging X? Again, it's a moving target. There's not but is there such correlation between the number of followers and what you could be commanding in the market?
In terms of a rate?
Yep.
Look, so it's more of the engagement you get. For me, that's what I see brands are paying for more than followers. So
what are they looking at? So we talked about geography and CPV, but are they looking at your last 10 reels or pieces of content?
Usually we take average of 8 to 10 reels, the average views, the average CPV on that. The number of shares is really important for brands. So how many people are sending the reel to each other? You know what I mean? That's very important. The going rate right now in Dubai, let's say, I'll give you a very easy example. Let's say you want to promote a restaurant. You're looking at around $3,000 to $5,000. Yeah, that would be, and a lot of them are working on a performance-based model. So this would not apply to restaurant. This would be more e-commerce based. So if you get me X amount of clicks on the link that you're going to put, we're going to pay you Y amount. Okay,
so it's dependent on how much traffic you can send.
Exactly. So that's a model that I'm working on with a lot of creators. So I'd give them a base price, let's say they're promoting an application.
Yeah.
I give them a base price of $5,000. If you get 1,000 clicks, I'll pay you $7,000. If you get 2,000 clicks, I'll pay you $9,000. And then like you can go into even more detail. If you get X amount of signups, I'll pay you X amount. If you get X amount of redemptions of the code that you put. So
incentive-based, essentially.
So a lot of creators are liking the model of fixed price plus incentive-based. So, okay, I'm going to get
a minimum of whatever.
I'm going to get a minimum fixed price, But as well, if I go above and beyond, I'm going to get more and more. So it's technically the case of the brand makes money, you make money.
On the topic of pivoting, let's say you've built an audience doing X, which is niche, whatever that might be. What's your recommendation on if you want to pivot and say, gear it more towards, say, lifestyle or food reviews or what have you? Do you have any hot tips on how to do that without alienating your audience that kind of, was interested in you
I
based
think,
on that?
so if you're asking me if you're a food creator and you want to pivot to more lifestyle or so I think study the industry, study the creators that are doing well in that category, see what they're doing. Don't imitate them. Don't copy. That's number one rule. Do not copy anyone's content. But just see what's attractive right now. See what's getting traction right now and do it in your own way and get your audience ready slowly. Make it a process of you pivoting. Don't like overnight you're at a restaurant and the next day you're at the gym telling people how many bicep curls to do. It's not going to work. You know what I mean? So slowly take them through the process and gradually shift and pivot towards that new category while studying what's trending right now. That would be my advice.
Would you recommend people pivot? And if they get to a point where they've been doing the same thing for a long time and they'd like to monetize it without being a coupon, as you mentioned, do you recommend they try something else or to pivot towards whatever might be working, or can that backfire?
It can backfire, but come in, like, if the content that they've been producing is dead or like it's not a thing anymore. So we used to work with a creator who used to do the inti-ad content, where he used to like take someone's video and just ينتقده from A to Z that person. It was like commentary, but like bashing the person. خلاص, he reached a point where it was like too much, and like he was getting lawsuits from creators, and like it was becoming too
Harmful?
Yeah, a bit too harmful to himself and to other people. So obviously he switched 360 from from commentating on people's content and bashing them to commentating on real things that are happening in the world in a positive aspect. And his views spiked because he had that social commentary skill.
The ability to critique. And,
exactly. He had the ability to critique in a respectful manner. Obviously, the bashing and the drama would get him views, but they would get him views for the wrong reasons. Now he's actually getting quality views. That's something that's very important.
So here, this is a strategic pivot. He didn't pivot, fully. He's just like, instead of critiquing X, I'm going to critique Y.
Exactly.
But the overarching theme is
the same. Yeah. Which his skill was critiquing. He just took it to a more quality approach instead of the harmful approach that he was doing before. Yeah. So that's just one example. Like I said, pivoting is something we see a lot in our industry. I know a lot of creators we met with someone recently who wants to start a music career. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of creators that want to expand their horizons, want to try different things. Maybe their audiences are also bored of that repetitive content, and they're seeing a downward spiral of their views, and they feel they need to, ينتعش the account. The account needs to become alive again.
How do you future-proof yourself from whether it's the AI or the rate at which things are accelerating? Are there certain things that you can do that you think? I mean, obviously the human component is important, but what are some things that you feel creators can do to make sure that they're doing this for a hot while?
Yeah, keep up with AI and the fast moving pace of AI in our industry as well. So YouTube right now actually has a lot of cool AI tools to help you with your content. Meta as well, Snap with their filters and everything. So as long as you're moving at the same pace with them and like adapting it to your own content, you're good. You know what I mean? Just don't ignore AI because it's coming faster than we can imagine. At the 1 Billion Summit, there were, I think, 10 sessions plus on AI and content. And AI is here to help creators, not to take over. We're not I know there are a lot of these AI avatar creators that are coming out, and people are saying that brands are spending with them. They're not spending with them right now, and they won't, in my opinion, because you still need that human element. So just move at the same pace. Keep use AI in your content. Tell your audience that you're using AI, and move at the same pace, and you'll be good. You'll be fine.
Is there a chart, as it were, similar to music charts or movie charts for creators, other than like, say, the sites that will tell you Social Blade or what have you?
Yeah.
Is that a thing where people can say, in this category, these are the top performing, whether it's locally or?
So there are, but there are no officially recognized ones.
Do you think that's something that's being worked on, or is it important for it to exist?
I think it's important, but again, it's who controls these charts. So, like in music, they're recognized platforms, so Billboard and Warner and etc. So, but in the content creation space or in the creator economy, there isn't that governing body, or there isn't that. There's lots of award ceremonies that happen and stuff where this guy wins Best Creator of the Year and this girl wins Best Creator, but we don't have like a governing body of who's the best lifestyle creator or who's the best tech creator or what. So yeah, there isn't at the moment.
Have you been to all 1 billion follower summits?
Yes, I have.
What's changed? What's the difference between, because when I first saw you, like, it's 3 times as big as it was last year.
Yeah.
So other than sheer size, what do you think? How is it evolving based on your observations?
So what you just mentioned, sheer size. First year was at Atlantis. It was a small summit, like in a ballroom, some talks happening, some activations, but it was like your traditional summit. Year 2, they moved it to the Emirates Towers. It was pretty big. I think we had around 3,000 to 5,000 people at it. Also, workshops were given. There was a feel like there was something brewing. Year 3, 15 to 20,000, I think the official number was 25,000 actually visitors. For the first time, I saw a real interest from every industry into the creator economy. I would be walking around the summit, I'd see my friend that works in FMCG, I'd see my friend that's a consultant, I'd see my friend that works in banking. Like, everyone was at the summit. There was a curiosity about the industry, about what creators are doing, about how big it can become. So that was the main difference that I saw, that all industries came to learn about the creator industry.
Is it a function of being louder about the summit, or the awareness has increased, or is it a combination of the two?
I think it's a bit of both. So I'll be very honest. This is something that's really important. The government, the UAE government, supporting the summit the way it did,
that's a big thing,
was very important. Sheikh Mohammed attending the summit was a huge moment for the 1 billion summit.
It's a testament to...
Unbelievable. Like, everyone was, starstruck that he was actually there. So that was another thing. And last year they announced a 150 million dirham fund for creators. So that also was that was a big, they're spending, they created a fund that big for this industry that we thought isn't that big, you know what I mean? And this year, a day after the summit, they announced a 2026 summit.
I was going to ask you about that. That's record speed. They're like,
we have to start working on it soon. What's it called? Yeah, and we think the fund is going to be even bigger this year. So there's a big interest from the government and the decision makers in the UAE, and I feel like they want to be at the forefront of the creator economy space. They feel like they have the real impact in our society right now. Like, traditional media is there, but it is slowly dying. Creators are the ones that are delivering the message of society, of what's happening in the world right now. So Donald Trump said it the other day that the youth vote and TikTok and all these platforms, these are the ones that are actually driving impact and change in our day-to-day lives. So you can't ignore it. As much as you want to call it the dancing industry and the... but I'm sorry, it's part of our daily life, and this is it's going to be huge.
Yeah. So is Creator HQ then a result of this support that the government is getting behind?
100%. So Creators HQ will be I don't want to call it a platform, but like a workshop space for creators to come learn about the industry. So it will be like, I don't want to call it a 1 billion summit, but like a mini 1 billion summit every week, or like every month where we're signing a partnership with them where we're gonna be giving workshops as Alfan. We're gonna invite some of our brand partners to come and give workshops on what they want to see from creators. We're gonna have creators connect with brands, tell them what they want to see from brands in terms of briefs and stuff. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a real community building.
Do you know when those activities are set to start?
So end of February is the launch, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if there would be some workshops in the last week of Feb, maybe before Ramadan, they take a break and then start again. But let's just say it'll be up and running after Ramadan.
Yeah.
After Ramadan, like that's when we're probably going to give our workshops. It's free to join. We'll be sending, obviously as Alfan, we'll be putting it on our socials whenever we have a workshop. And yeah.
Do you think it's too late to start creating or become a creator?
Absolutely not. I think there's no better time to become a creator. The tools that are available, we were just talking about AI and stuff like that. The tools that are available to help you create content, unprecedented. You can just pick up your camera and the AI tools that we have available for us today will enhance your content at a speed and at an efficiency that's never been seen before. Creators that used to spend hours and hours editing and trying to make that perfect piece of content, with the AI tools that are available today, it's seamless. You have the market for it. It's just growing. Governments are investing. Brands are investing. It's the perfect time. And I say, don't be too late, because now is the time. 2025 is the year to start to pick up your camera and start creating content. And yeah, the sky's the limit. Hopefully we'll see that person that starts today at the 1 Billion Summit next year.
I can't wait for that. And one thing that's changed a ton, I feel like, because of what you mentioned, a lot of people associate it with dancing or silly or light or whatever.
Yeah.
Age doesn't matter. Gender doesn't matter. Topic almost doesn't matter. Whereas before, I mean, some content does better than others, by just, that's just how it is. But if you know a lot about one thing and you're not 12, you still have an audience. And
100%.
like we said, niche is important. Do you have any tips, I guess, from the culmination of experience? What are some like top 3 tips that you could give someone who's on the edge of starting? So like they're on the fence. They're like, I'm not sure if I should or not. What tips would you give them, other than not indecision? Obviously can be your biggest kind of hurdle. What tips would you give them?
Start, try, explore different formats, see the format that you see fits best to your personality, and take it from there. So that would be the first step for me. After you get past that hurdle of being in front of the camera and that shyness that you may have, do 100 takes at home, do 200 takes at home, and then start posting online. You might get criticism, you might get your friends that are laughing at you. It's completely fine. You'll be laughing at them next year when you're making 10x what they're making because of a brand deal. So I think it's that first video. Post that first video, see how it does, take the hit, take the criticism, post video number 2, number 3, and if you're convinced about the content, if your content provides real value, if your content is clean, nicely produced, again, with the AI tools that are available, sky's the limit for you.
Speaking of nicely produced, it's a weird kind of a cycle, because at first, especially with YouTube, it's not like there was a precedence to it. It kind of evolved. It started as a dating site and then ended up being something else. Low quality or DIY, you are punished if it was too polished, because they're like, we already have TV. We want as if I'm like peeping something I'm not supposed to, and it goes in cycles. So first it's like, keep it as DIY as raw as you can. And then because everybody did it, you want to differentiate yourself somehow. And then it went more into the polish. How do you play that? Sometimes it's DIY, sometimes it's more.
So something I've noticed on this podcast, a lot of the things that I've said, I go like, but they could do that as well. We work in one of the most flexible industries there is. Honestly, like DIY does obviously work. And there are a lot of creators on TikTok. There's a guy with over 100 million followers who does pure DIY content out of his bedroom with his durag. You know what I mean? And he gets millions of views. Sure. when I say nicely produced, I'm talking about our region more. I feel like it's more
The polish,
the polished videos are more accepted by the audiences in our region more than the DIY style. That's just my opinion. Again, it's perception. Like someone else might say something else, and that's completely fine.
No, but I feel like that's rooted in something. I mean, obviously, you're not just someone who's observing. You're working. You know where the tastes are. You know what the brands are looking for. You know what's landing and what's not. That's why it's super important to get the feedback from you, because I could ask literally 10 people that work in the industry. They each might have a different take on it, but I like yours because it immediately or directly connects to a brand. You know, that's kind of what you do, you know?
My brain is so brand programmed that the first instinct was to tell you clean content, nicely produced, because I'm thinking of the creator getting the brand deal. So if you're thinking from that aspect, that would be the direction to go. But again, for the people that want to create DIY content, start with that if that's what you're capable of doing, and you can't produce something that's really high quality. Start with the DIY, and eventually you'll evolve to that nicely produced video.
Gotcha. You spoke about getting here on accident. Is it a happy accident, or like how do you feel? Yes, we got here on accident. Was it a good one, or?
It's a very happy accident. To be honest, again, this year or this summit, my CEO told me something. I'll share this. He told me there's a bit of a swagger and confidence I haven't seen in you that I'm seeing at this summit. And he's like, I feel like you finally got the validation that you needed in the industry after 4 years of hard work. That validation that like you're actually doing something impactful. You're working in an industry that is impactful. And honestly, I was driving home that day and I was like, that's like, I never thought about it. And like, it was the first time I felt proud, like really proud of what I was doing and the summit that we had. And yeah, so it is a happy accident, and inshallah, long may it continue. I don't see myself anywhere else right now, to be honest.
No, you're the right fit for it, and it's a right fit for you. I mean, I feel like you're doing exactly what you need to be doing at the right place. You know, I think Alfan, I mean, we might both be biased here, but what Fattal and his vision and what the company is doing is value add after value
100%.
add, you know. Competition is good, and
100%. And having someone, again, we're not promoting Fattal, but like having someone as passionate as him at the helm. So someone that honestly lives and breathes this industry, like from day one, 4 years, he was 4 years ahead, you know, when I joined, you know what I mean? So he's part of the reason why I don't imagine myself anywhere else. I feel like he knows what creators want. He knows what brands want. He's going to drive Alfan, inshallah, to a level that we haven't seen before.
I'm excited to see where this takes us. I'm really glad we got to do this, Karim, and I'm sure we'll do others.
Definitely.
Do you have anything lined up for Creators HQ in terms of like panels or things that you're going to do?
Yeah, so we only have one that we've planned so far. We're in the process of planning the rest, but the first one we're going to do is we're going to do brands and creators in one session. So I'm going to invite 2 or 3 of my brand partners to come to the session, and we're going to kind of try to close a brand deal live on stage. This is like the plan. Yeah, this is the plan that I have. So I just want to show them the whole process from A to Z of how it happens.
Has it been scheduled yet, or is it still in the works?
It hasn't been scheduled yet, but it's the first workshop that Alfan is going to do.
So for those listening to us or watching us, where might they be able to get the information for that once it's been...
On Alfan's social media. Should I look at the camera? On Alfan's social media, which is Alfan, ALFAN. We're going to be posting as soon as the workshop is announced. And we'll probably be sending an email to all of our registered creators. And anyone that's not registered, please register. It will be on our social media.
That's amazing. I want to close with one thing.
Yeah.
One question. Do brands favor long or short form, or does that not matter?
I had a session on this.
I know, that's why I kind of want to tie it back to that.
I had a session on this.
What's the biggest takeaway?
Right now, they favor short in our region. In the US, they favor long.
Still.
Yeah, still. Because I had a creator, Isaiah, with me on the session. He said long form is still really popular. They do favor short form content, but we're trying as much as we can right now to show them the value of long form. dedicated long form videos that like you do a full product review. But at the moment, short form is what brands
Gotcha.
favor.
Thank you so much, Karim. I really appreciate
Thanks,
you, man.
man. It was
Talk soon.
great.
Cheers.